Hello Year 11, it's Mr. Thompson here, and we just wanted to say we cannot wait to have you back on Monday. Honestly, we are really looking forward to it. But we realise that as part of you coming back, you may have some questions about how you come back and the process of centre assessed grades and GCSEs. So this PowerPoint here is designed to give you a bit more information and hopefully help you and lessen your anxieties about returning on Monday. Okay, the first thing I thought I would discuss with you is what we already know from the government. So you may have seen the news, you may have heard it on the radio or seen it on the internet. There have been a number of announcements from the government about your exams and your grades. And so what I thought we would do is first just tease out some of that knowledge that we already know. So the first thing is I think you probably all are aware there will be no GCSE, BTEC or Cambridge National exams for you this year. Instead, your grade will be generated by teacher assessment and will use a range of evidence to get a grade. It will still be numeric grade, 1 to 9, as normal. And these are called centre assessed grades. Now you may hear me or other teachers call them CAGs for short, but what that means, what a CAG is just a teacher assessment using a range of evidence to come up with that numerical grade. This is the same for GCSEs, BTECs and Cambridge Nationals, so it doesn't matter what you're studying, the process is exactly the same. And just so you know as well, because I'm sure there is a bit of worry about this, but your GCSEs will be as valid as any other year. And what we're saying here at the Castle is that this is just a different way of assessing you, just another way of assessing you. So you're not any less valid as previous years who have done GCSE exams. It's exactly the same. It's just slightly different because of COVID. And the other thing to say is we don't know the exact details, the exact specifics, but as you know, we will desperately try to keep you in the loop and we will let you know as soon as. So I thought I would share this infographic with you from Ofqual because I actually think it's really good at giving you a very simple overview of the changes that have been made. So the first thing is if we look here, oh I love doing this with my PowerPoint, I can highlight little bits here. If we look here, you'll see that there is an overview about how we as teachers and as a school will work out your grade. The first thing, just to say that it is teacher judgment, as I've just said. There will be no algorithm. So last year you might have seen in the news there was quite a big fuss around algorithm. There's no algorithm, so literally what we say as a school will go to the exam board. There will be no jiggery pokery from them. The other thing to notice here is this bit here, you will only be assessed on what you have taught. So if, for example, because of the recent lockdown, your teacher hasn't got through all of the content, that content that has been missed, that knowledge that you just haven't done, you will not be assessed on that. Okay, the teachers will select assessments which will cover the content that you have done. Okay, so you can actually do well in them. That would be a bit silly for us teachers to you know, choose something which you wouldn't be very good at. We will let you know what evidence will be used, that's there, and you don't have to worry about that bit at the bottom. In terms of the evidence that we use, this is actually quite important, so let's have a look at this now. Ofqual is saying that we can use mocks and other tests and other work. If you are doing a practical subject and you've got an NEA, a non-exam assessment or coursework, so for example in DT or in food, I know that you're completing those at the moment, those should continue and we will use those to set your CAG. Also, for example, the other difference is in art and design. So if you do fine art, textiles or photography, again, we will be asking you to continue to work on your portfolio. So then you're able to get that completed and we can use that as part of the CAG process. And then this final one here, I just wanted to sort of draw your attention to. The exam boards are actually going to provide teachers with exam materials, so probably a bit like past papers, but we don't know for sure. And teachers can use those to do in their classes or maybe in the hall. And we will have assessments based around what the exam board give us. We think that is probably the best, most valid and reliable way to see basically what your knowledge is like, what your skills are like, and how much progress you've made. Another thing just to bring your attention to is the GCSE results day. There has been some kind of disagreement over when that's going to be in the national media, and it is there. It will be on the 12th of August. So what you'll see in front of you now is a wonderful, colourful diagram. This kind of table shows you what our plan for your return is. So I'm just going to talk it through with you so you are totally in the know, so you totally understand what we are expecting from you between now and the 18th of June. 18th of June, by the way, is your official end date. That's been set by the government. And up until then, we have a roadmap really for what you will be doing. So you come back obviously on Monday the 8th, which is here, and through the next 3 weeks, what we're suggesting is that we want you just to get back to learning. We want you just to come back, remember how much you love being in school, remember how much you love learning, and really get immersed in your subjects. We will be doing some work in lessons, identifying the gaps in your knowledge and identifying your misconceptions where you may have kind of misunderstood things because of the recent lockdown. But what we're saying to teachers is that this needs to be really low stakes. Okay, and what I mean by that is no pressure. So there may be quizzes here, there may be a few tests, but these are for teachers to kind of assess what your knowledge is like, so then they can put extra support in place. This is not to test you for your CAGs or for your final GCSEs. Okay, this period, these next 3 weeks, are all about you rebuilding those relationships and getting back into school in the best possible way. We do not want to scare you or freak you out with doing massive assessments as soon as you return. What you will see then is we've got a week, the 29th of March, which is what we're going to call a revision period, where you will be preparing for assessments. And then you have 2 weeks, the Easter holidays, where you can relax a little bit, take a breather, but also do some work, do some revision and do some preparation for the assessments ahead, which I'll talk about in a minute. Again, you've then got another week, which will be the assessment, another assessment week, sorry, not an assessment week, another revision week. Within this revision, we would expect teachers to be leading that revision, okay? So pointing out any misconceptions that you might have, going over content that you might be a bit shaky with, maybe even showing you what the exam materials are going to look like, what the assessments might look like, looking at model answers, showing you how to answer in a particular way. All of that is about support, and again, those 2 weeks will not be counting towards your final grades, your CAGs. Okay, it's again just about supporting you and getting you kind of match fit. Then what we're suggesting is we have 4 weeks of what we are going to call an assessment window. Now, really importantly, I don't want you to think that these are big, high stakes, winner takes all exams. They are not. What we'll have here is a mixture of assessments in class and in the hall. Okay, some will be, for example, English, because it's such a massive subject, because of the logistics around that. We have to do access arrangements as well. Some might be done in the hall, other assessments may be done in the class. As I said, at the moment, we don't know what the exam materials look like from the exam board, so I can't tell you right now exactly what those assessments will look like. But what they will not be is like that final GCSE style exam that previous years have had. Okay, I'll explain why we're not calling them exams and why we're calling them assessments in a minute. But the other thing is I would expect between 2 and 3 assessments in most subjects. okay, over a 4-week period. We also think it's really important that you have 4 weeks, because that's quite a long period for you to do them, so you're not doing loads of assessments every day. Again, it's not like GCSE exams. This is way more calm and way more accessible than that. One thing I will say is we will make sure you have a timetable for this, so you know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it, so you can be prepared. We then come to the 24th of May, or the week beginning the 24th of May, and in this period, that's when the teachers will bring together all of their data, all of their marks, and they'll be beginning to look at the CAGs and giving you what they think you have. Okay, they'll be giving you your CAGs. They'll enter all the CAGs by the 28th of May, and then we have half term. And then in the 2 weeks after half term, the 7th of June and the 14th of June, this is when the school and members of SLT like myself, Mr. Lamb, Mr. Wordsworth, Miss Gormley, will be working with the heads of faculty to make sure we're quality assuring that process, making sure that as a school we are as happy as possible with what the teachers have said. What we're not going to do is just take the teacher's word for it. Okay, there will be a quality assurance process, and that's really important for us because we want to make sure that all our students get the grade that they deserve. Over here you'll see some dates for your diary. We've got an assembly where we'll go through this. Mr. Lamb will go through this in a bit more detail on Wednesday. Just so you know, we've got an inset day on the 1st of April, bank holiday on the 3rd of May, so those are 2 days that you won't be in school. Your official leaving date is the 18th of June, and your prom will be the 30th of June. That is a change of date because there's been so many changes with your finish times that the government have given us. We've had to change the prom date a couple of times, but that is now the confirmed date. Hopefully that gives you a little flavour. I know it was whistle stop, but that gives you a little flavour about you coming back, and hopefully you can see that it is all about you getting you back in a calm and purposeful way, and then slowly starting to build towards these assessments. But even when we're in the assessment window, hopefully you see that it is calm, manageable and accessible. So let's talk about these assessments. Okay, I've spoken about that they're going to be in the 4-week period. You know when they're going to be. Let's talk about what they actually are. So again, I'm going to make this point again. I'm going to emphasize that this is a different way of assessing your attainment and your progress than before. It is not an invalid or worse way. It's just different, and we're just in this situation because of COVID. And actually, there are many positives for this system. So the principle is this, okay? Your teachers will want to give you a grade that reflects your progress and effort. We are not here to catch you out. There's not one teacher here at school that wants to try and set you a really hard exam so you're not going to do very well. Okay, we are all on your side. We are all working with you, and we want to give you the grade which reflects the hard work that you have put in over the last 2 years. So as I said, in most subjects, I mean, art will be a bit different. The art and design subjects, so that's fine art, photography, and textiles will be a bit different because that's mostly portfolio based. Other practical subjects will be a little bit different as well because they've got NEAs. But for the vast majority of subjects, you will have assessments in that assessment window, and most of our subjects will be using the assessment materials provided by the exam board. As I've said, we don't know what those will look like, but I would assume that they will follow similar patterns as what the exam board, the exams would have been like. So for example, as you know, I'm a historian. In history, in people's health, everyone knows we have 3 1 markers. We have a 9 marker, a 10 marker and an 18 marker. And I would assume that the history exam boards will be something, the exam materials that they provide us will be something similar to that. As I said, we don't know yet. We will let you know as soon as we know. These are not massive, huge exams. So again, in history, you normally have 3 papers. Those papers are huge. You know, one of those papers, for example, has people's health in it as half of it, and then Elizabeth in it, and you know, that's absolutely massive. So we're not going to have those huge exams anymore. These are more manageable assessments, and we are certainly calling them assessments and not exams. And what we will do when it comes to taking your CAGs is we're not just going to look at these assessments that you'll be doing in May. We'll be looking at a whole host of evidence over the last 2 years to come up with the grade that you deserve. So, for example, if you do DT, we will be taking your NEA. If you do IT, we'll be taking your NEA and your coursework into consideration, and that will probably be the primary bit of evidence that we'll use to set your CAG. But it won't be the be-all and end-all. We'll still also use other pieces of evidence as well in those subjects. In the subjects which aren't so practical, we will be using the May assessment data that we'll come up with, that I've just been speaking about, but we'll also use previous mock exams. We'll also use previous in-class assessments. So if you've been doing kind of any 6 markers in science, or if you've been doing any of the long essays in English over the last 2 years, we'll also be bringing that evidence into play as well. We will also look at your homework, your classwork, your bookwork, okay, your portfolio work, whatever. We will also take that into consideration. So just a reminder, this is not a high stakes, all or nothing exam period, because these assessments, while they are important, they will be brought in to line with everything else when we're coming up with our CAGs. As I said, in practical subjects without exams, we will continue to use coursework, and I don't think you can see that because it's behind me. That says portfolio work as well. Okay, so just to remind you, it is not determined by a high stakes exam. So if you are a student that for whatever reason hasn't engaged very well during lockdown, all is not lost. You can still work really hard, work with the teachers, and do really well in these assessments, and hopefully bag yourself a really good grade. But equally, if you are a student, and there are loads of them, you know, lots of my year 11s have been working incredibly hard, and I'm incredibly proud of you, so well done, you know who you are. But if you're one of those students that have been working really hard through lockdown, we will also take that into consideration. So well done, that's absolutely fantastic. That work has been instrumental in helping you with your knowledge, but also that work will have been noticed by your teachers. So finally then, what do you guys need to do? Well, the simple thing is don't panic. Okay, we've got a really good plan. We're ahead of the curve in terms of our planning when you look at what other schools in the local area are doing, and so we are here to support you to achieve your best. Okay, and as I said, we'll be really clear about which assessments count for CAGs and which don't. We're going to be really clear that when you're just coming back for those 3 weeks, it's just about coming back into the class and loving learning. Okay, we're not going to be slapping huge assessments on you. So we are here to support you, so please do not panic. You just need to enjoy yourself, because actually if you enjoy your learning and if you enjoy your lessons and you're putting your all into it, then that's going to be reflected in some great work and some great attainment as well. So just enjoy it. You know, I don't know what you felt about the last lockdown, but I found it incredibly hard. It's been really difficult at times, and I cannot wait to start teaching you guys again, and I'm sure you cannot wait to start being back in your lessons as well as in the school and getting involved in school life. So enjoy it, okay? Really enjoy it. One bit of kind of logistical stuff, I would make sure that you are gathering all the work that you completed over lockdown. Make sure you're bringing it in, you're putting it in your books, you're staying organised, because you will need to do some revision, but you also in the more practical subjects where your portfolio will be really important. You need to make sure you've got all of that work to hand, and as I said, you do need to be organised. Obviously, you just need to work hard. Yeah, you need to work hard in lessons, especially if you're someone who found it difficult in the last lockdown to engage with us remotely. So if you are someone like that, and you know that your engagement hasn't been as good as you would want, come back. It's a complete, it's a new start for you really. So come back and really do work hard in lessons. Turn up on time. Make sure you complete all work. And we will be putting on some after school sessions to help you, some revision sessions here and there, and some sessions to help you get all your work together, especially if you need a little bit more support. And my advice to you would be attend those. Attend anything that we're giving you to support. And my final piece of advice, and I know you're great at this, and generally we are as teachers as well, but talk to us. If something's not right, tell us. If something's worrying you, you need to tell us. If something's going well and you're super happy, tell us. Okay? So work with us. We are on your side. We are here to help you. Hopefully that's been really useful. I know it's whistle stop, but you'll hear more from Mr. Lamb in the assembly. And the last thing I'll say, I'll just reaffirm that last point. We are here to help. We are on your side. So please work with us.